from individuals showing up with no records to those vanishing without a trace, and people caught on camera doing the unexplainable. These aren't legends, they're real clips of humans, if they're even human at all.
He soon told me I was going to be the first one. He told me there was a high probability of me getting hurt or dying, and that I could not opt out. He reminded me of when I signed up as a test subject for advanced technologies.
Alister Crowley was basically that one dude who decided the rules didn't apply to him and then made his own. He was deep into magic, summoning spirits, and cooked up an entire belief system called Thelema. People didn't just call him weird, they called him the wickedest man in the world. And Crowley, he was into it. The man once jacked up his leg ice skating and the wound never healed properly, which honestly just adds to the unsettling vibe. Then he moved into this spooky old house in Scotland, and right after that, strange stuff started going down like fires, freaky sightings, you name it. Say what you want, but Crowley didn't just live life, he made it a haunted storybook. Wrist tech. In 2018, some random guy named Noah shows up online claiming he's from the year 2030. Sounds like internet nonsense, right? But then he takes a lie detector test and passes. People were shocked. He started tossing out predictions. Trump's back in 2028. Humans chilling on Mars. Bitcoin taking over. Oh, and he said, we'll still use cash sometimes, so no need to panic yet. The weirdest part? He said he had future tech in his wrist. And sure enough, an X-ray showed something was in there. Then, out of nowhere, mid-livestream, dude vanishes. Later, he emails saying he got pulled back to 2030 for questioning. Time travel drama, wrist implants, and vanishing acts. Noah really gave the internet a sci-fi thriller. Hoffing off.
According to his family, former Teamsters president Jimmy Hoffa is missing. The family made the missing persons report this morning.
Jimmy Hoffa, a powerful union leader, stepped out of a Detroit restaurant in 1975 and never came back. Vanishing into thin air, Hoffa's disappearance quickly became the subject of mystery and rumor. Some believe the mob took him, others think it was something far darker. Despite decades of searching, no body, no solid clues either, just endless theories. To this day, Hoffa's disappearance remains one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in American history.
The 1975 disappearance of Teamster boss and friend of organized crime Jimmy Hoffa is one of the great modern mysteries. Most people think Hoffa was whacked by the mob, because how was he not? After all, Hoffa got cozy with La Cosa Nostra, organized crime, in his rise to power.
Red-nosed deer. Rudolph Hess, Hitler's deputy, made a daring and mysterious flight from Nazi Germany to Scotland in 1941. Claiming to be on a peace mission, Hess hoped to negotiate a treaty between Britain and Nazi Germany, all without Hitler's knowledge. After parachuting into a Scottish farmer's garden, he was quickly arrested by British authorities. The true reason for his flight has puzzled historians for years. Was he genuinely seeking peace, or was there something more sinister behind it? Despite being imprisoned and later tried, Hess's motives remain unclear. I'd say it's one of those stories that will never be fully understood.
It was a pleasure to do anything for us gentlemen, although he was a jerk. He was a gentleman, but he didn't sit down when I took him in, till I told him. And after all, he was somebody's son.
Vanished physicist. Dr. Ning Li was once deep in the world of cutting-edge science, working on room-temperature superconductors and anti-gravity tech that sounded straight out of sci-fi. But around the early 2000s, she suddenly disappeared from public view. No interviews, no papers, no updates. Some think she got too close to tech that certain groups didn't want in the wrong hands. Others believe she went off the radar on purpose, maybe to protect herself or something bigger. No one really knows. All that's left is a trail of whispers and research that feels like it was buried for a reason. Survivor's secret. Viktor Frankl survived something that shattered millions, the Nazi camps. But in that darkness, he noticed something odd. People who had a strong reason to live, who found meaning even in suffering, seemed to hold on longer. That simple idea turned into logotherapy, a belief that the will to find meaning is what keeps us alive.
Those who were oriented toward a meaning to be fulfilled by them in the future, were most likely to survive.
But there's a deeper layer here. Some think Frankl tapped into something ancient, maybe even spiritual, a force beyond logic. Whatever it was, it helped him survive hell and might still be shaping the way we understand the human soul.
You see, the question was not just survival, but there had to be a why of survival. The question was survival for what? Unless there was something or someone, a person or a cause, for whose sake to survive, there was survival scarcely possible.
Greatest love machine. Rasputin was already a wild figure in Russian history, but what really messes with people is how freakishly accurate his biggest prediction turned out. He told Empress Alexandra that if he ever got taken out by nobles, the whole royal family would follow within 2 years.
None in your family will live more than 2 years. Now, that's a pretty scary prophecy because, he had mystical powers from the forces beyond.
And guess what? That's exactly what happened. He was targeted and didn't survive. Less than 2 years later, the Romanovs were overthrown and their entire dynasty was wiped out. Rasputin may have been chaotic, but that prophecy? Dead on. It's like he had a front row seat to the end of an empire before it even happened. Grave Visitor.
It is a tradition that many thought was never more, but the mysterious Poe toaster returns to Baltimore.
Every year on Edgar Allan Poe's birthday, someone in all black would sneak up to his grave in Baltimore, drop off 3 roses and a bottle of cognac, then dip before anyone could say a word. No selfies, no clues, just vibes. This went on for decades, like something straight out of a Gothic novel. Then, in 2009, silence. Everyone figured the tradition had ended with the original mystery person, but plot twist. In 2016, it started again. A new Poe toaster showed up. No one knows who it is now either. Some say it's staged, others say it's spiritual. But honestly, if you're gonna be mysterious, leaving gifts for a dead author at midnight is a pretty solid move. Masked Prisoner. The story of the man in the iron mask is straight up bonkers. Back in the 1600s, King Louis XIV threw some prisoner in a cell and made him wear a mask, supposedly iron, though some say it was velvet. The odd thing, no one ever knew who he was, and after he died, all his belongings were destroyed. For years, people thought maybe he was a royal twin or some major political enemy, but in 2016, a historian claimed he was just a valet named Eustache Dolger, guy who knew too much about the royals' dirty little money secrets. So basically, this guy was the world's most unlucky gossip. Devil's Deal. Robert Johnson, the legendary bluesman, is still an unsolved mystery. Born in 1911, he was considered musically hopeless at first, until one day, he disappeared. When he came back, he was a guitar virtuoso, playing like no one had ever heard. Some say he made a deal with the devil at a crossroads to get that kind of talent. And with all his dark lyrics about hell and the devil, it's easy to see why people believed it. Sadly, he passed away at 27 under strange circumstances, and like many others, he was not a part of the 27 Club, which has celebrities that all passed away at that age under mysterious reasons. Illusionary Visionary.
Baba Vanga said that she could see in her mind's eye, and when she would look at a person, she said that she could see their whole life, from birth through their life until death as if she were watching a movie.
Baba Vanga, the blind Bulgarian woman with supernatural foresight, is one of the creepiest legends out there. After a freak storm left her blind at age 12, she started having visions, seeing people's entire lives like a movie. Her predictions included huge events like the Twin Towers incident and the 2004 tsunami. Some people even believe extraterrestrials communicated with her, revealing secrets hidden in religious texts. And the wildest part? She had no formal education, no books, no TV, and somehow still knew things that no one else could. Talk about a level of intuition that's out of this world. Real-time traveler. Al Bielek claimed he time-traveled all the way to the year 2749 and spent 2 whole years there. It all started with the Philadelphia experiment, where he allegedly jumped off a Navy ship in 1943. Next thing he knew, he woke up in the future in a hospital using some wild tech to heal. By 2137, the United States was toast, the coasts had shifted, and Florida was barely hanging on. By 2749, it got even wilder. Floating cities, no government, just a giant crystal AI calling the shots. Honestly, this sounds like someone went overboard on sci-fi movies and NyQuil. Green mystery. Back in the 1100s, 2 green-colored boys appeared out of nowhere in Woolpit, England. The boy and girl were confused, speaking an unknown language, and only eating raw, broad beans. Honestly, that's about the same energy as every toddler I know. Sadly, the boy didn't make it, but the girl adapted, learned English, and even got married. Some say they were aliens. Others think they were just malnourished kids from a nearby village. But honestly, the fact they came out of a random pit just gives the whole thing a major glitch in the Matrix vibes. Wall jumper. Gil Perez, a guard in Manila, was chilling, just doing his job, leaning on a wall. Then suddenly, somehow he's in Mexico City, like 9,000 miles away. Still in uniform, still confused, just there. Everyone thought he was nuts. Dude was rambling about the governor back home being taken out by pirates. It sounded like nonsense, until a ship pulled into port months later and confirmed everything he said. People in Manila swore they saw Gil the day before he teleported. No passport, no explanation, just a full-on time-space glitch. After that, he got sent back, probably never leaned on a wall again in his life. Honestly, it's giving accidental time traveler. Rowanoke vanishing.
Lost Colony remains this mystery that's at the very heart of the origin of our nation. People remain fascinated by Rowanoke because we know so little about the place.
Imagine setting out to start a new life, only to return 3 years later to find everyone gone. That's exactly what happened in 1590, when John White, leader of an English settlement on Rowanoke Island, returned to find his entire colony had vanished. No people, no homes, just the word Croatoan carved into a post. Were they wiped out? Did they join a nearby tribe? Archaeologists have uncovered bits of their life. Swords, rings, even old tools. But still, no solid answers. It's like the ultimate disappearing act.
When we think about the founding of the United States of America, we think of it in this fairly linear way. That colonists showed up, they settled, they moved west, America. One of those was the colony at Rowanoke. This was a group of people who showed up and were ready to settle, but what happened to that colony is one of the big unanswered questions of American history.
Phineas Gage. What if a single accident could change who you are forever? In 1848, Phineas Gage, a railroad foreman, experienced an accident that seemed impossible to survive. A metal rod was blasted through his skull, entering below his cheek and exiting through the top of his head. Miraculously, Gage lived, but something changed within him. The calm and responsible man was now impulsive and reckless. The cause? His injury had damaged the part of his brain controlling personality. Gage's case baffled doctors and remains a crucial part of understanding the human mind. Some still wonder, was he the same person after that day? Real Dracula.
Vlad III Basarab, better known as Vlad the Impaler, he was nicknamed Dracula, which means the son of the devil.
What if a ruler's cruelty became legend? Vlad the Impaler, also known as Vlad III or Dracula, was a ruler of Wallachia in the 15th century. His reign is remembered for its terrifying acts, where his enemies faced unimaginable punishments. Many were impaled on long wooden stakes. Though his methods were shocking, they earned him fear and respect in equal measure. Some say his actions were driven by a desire for power, while others believe something darker took hold. Vlad's story would later inspire the infamous Count Dracula. Was he a man, or something far more sinister? Mysterious enigma. Nostradamus, a 16th century French astrologer, became famous for his cryptic predictions. In his book Les Prophecies, he wrote hundreds of quatrains, many so vague that they could be interpreted in countless ways. Yet some believe he foresaw major events like the rise of Napoleon, the terror of Hitler, and even some early 2000 events. His followers claim his insight was extraordinary, but critics argue his words were too obscure to be taken seriously. Was he merely lucky, or did he possess knowledge beyond what we can understand? No one can say for certain. To this day, his predictions remain a mystery that haunts the future. The Bell Witch.
What it was, we really don't know. It had to be something very powerful to do what it did, but it never led on to what it actually was. They didn't understand why it was coming after our family. And when it was asked about why it was coming after the Bell family, or after John, the spirit said he just needs killing.
In the early 1800s, the quiet town of Adams, Tennessee, became home to something deeply unsettling. The Bell family reported eerie whispers, invisible slaps, and furniture that moved without warning. They believed a spirit, soon called the Bell Witch, had placed a curse on them. The strange force tormented the family, focusing most on John Bell and his daughter Betsy. Over time, John's health faded, and many blamed the unseen presence for his end. Even neighbors and visitors claimed to witness unexplainable things inside the Bell home. Centuries later, the Bell Witch legend still stirs fear in those who dare to speak her name.
People in the area continue to claim to see sightings of the Bell Witch. They claim to hear her in the middle of the night. They hear the sounds of things in the house or maybe in the woods, and they will attribute that to the Bell Witch.
Dee's secrets. What if an advisor to a queen was secretly speaking with the skies? John Dee was no ordinary advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. Behind his scholarly image hid a man obsessed with contacting beings from another realm. Alongside Edward Kelly, he used mirrors and crystals to speak with what they called angels. These beings supposedly shared messages in a strange, unknown language known as Enochian. Dee believed this knowledge came from higher powers, but others whispered he was crossing dangerous lines. His home became a place of rituals and coded writings, some of which still puzzle experts today. Was Dee guided by light, or was something far darker whispering from the other side? Star is buried. A name signed in fear, not fame. Zodiac. During the late 1960s, California faced a string of strange attacks. The person behind them called himself the Zodiac and sent cryptic letters to newspapers filled with puzzles, strange symbols, and dark riddles. He claimed to be behind several disturbing events, leaving police and the public both alarmed and confused. Some messages were decoded, others still remain a mystery. Despite long investigations and many suspects, no one has ever been officially linked to the case. Even now, the name Zodiac carries a shadow that refuses to fade. Basiagos claims. Andrew D. Basiago, a lawyer, has made some extraordinary claims about his childhood. He insists that he was part of a secret United States of America's government program called Project Pegasus, which allegedly allowed him to time travel and teleport. According to Basiago, he visited the past and even journeyed to Mars, meeting historical figures along the way. His stories have captivated some and baffled others, as they seem too unbelievable to be true. Still, he stands by his experiences, claiming that the government has hidden these advancements from the public for decades. Basiagos' tale lingers, as mysterious as the technology he describes. Vanished Village. In the 1930s, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle stumbled upon a strange scene near Njikuni Lake in northern Canada. He found an entire village completely abandoned, yet everything appeared undisturbed. There were meals left unfinished, clothing scattered about, and even fires still burning. No signs of struggle or violence, just completely empty. The villagers had vanished without a trace. Puff, disappeared. LaBelle's search for answers led to more questions, as no explanation was ever found. Over the years, the mystery continues to perplex authorities, but the fate of the villagers remains unknown. I would say it is a puzzle that refuses to be solved. Venus Visitor. In the late 50s, a dude named Val Valiant Thor showed up in a shiny spaceship and told US officials he was from Venus. Yeah, actual Venus, not California. He said he came to save us from diseases, give us free energy, and turn Earth into a cosmic wellness retreat. But here's the kicker. He spent more time walking around the Pentagon like he owned the place, using mind tricks on people and sneaking into classified files. Some say he looked human, others swear he could walk through walls. Honestly, if he's from Venus, he really should have brought some sunscreen, because that planet is anything but a paradise. Dancing Plague. Back in 1518, something straight up bizarre happened in Strasbourg. People just started dancing in the streets for days. This wasn't a festival, not a ritual, just regular folks who couldn't stop moving. It all began with one woman, and soon dozens were dancing along with her. No music, no celebration, just people dancing until they physically couldn't anymore. Doctors at the time blamed hot blood, but modern experts can't agree. Some think it was mass hysteria. Others suspect bread spiked with something weird. Whatever caused it, the mystery of why so many people danced without control remains unsolved to this day. Dune Lady. A real-life mystery from Cape Cod. Back in July 1974, a woman called the Lady of the Dunes was found, and for years, no one knew who she was. Fast forward to 2022, and science cracks the case. She's identified as Ruth Marie Terry. Turns out she had a colorful past and some shady connections. Her son Richard had been searching for her all this time, and bam, he learned she'd been missing for decades. It's like something out of a suspense novel, but it's all real. Who knew a beach visit could turn into a full-on mystery? Plane Jumper. This one's wild. 1971, a man calling himself Dan Cooper, no DB yet, hops on a flight, hands a note to the flight attendant, and calmly tells her he's got a detonating device. He demands $200,000 and 4 parachutes. Once the plane lands, he gets the cash, lets everyone off, and tells the pilot to take off again. Somewhere over Washington, the dude jumps out of the plane, cash in hand, and vanishes. The FBI searched everywhere but found nothing. No body, no parachute, just a clip-on tie and a few cigarette butts. If he made it out alive, that's the smoothest exit in history. Casper Hower.
On May the 26th, 1828, a teenage boy wandered into the public square in Nuremberg, Germany. It would not have been an event to draw much attention, save for his unusual tattered clothing, lurching walk, and the letters he clasped in his hand.
In 1828, a teenage boy just showed up in Germany with no clue who he was, barely able to talk, and carrying 2 strange letters, one from a captain and another from his mom, dated 1812. This kid, named Casper Hower, claimed he'd lived his whole life in a dark room, sleeping on straw and being fed by unseen strangers. It sounds like something out of a twisted fairy tale, right? But somehow, he learned to read and write super fast, becoming a bit of a sensation. Some thought he was a lost royal, others thought he was just really good at keeping people guessing. Crazy, right? Flying Queen.
The transatlantic flight had not become routine. A lot of people have died trying. She did a good job of piloting it, and her navigation was pretty much dead reckoning, which we used to joke in the Air Force, you reckon wrong, you're dead.
Amelia Earhart wasn't just a pilot. She was a legend. So much so that she became one. In the 1930s, she was breaking records and showing the world that women could rule the skies. But in 1937, while attempting to fly around the world with her navigator Fred Noonan, she vanished near a tiny island in the Pacific. Her last message was that she was low on fuel and couldn't find her destination. Some think she crashed. Others think she made it to Nikomaroro Island, where explorers found old tools and a knife like hers. No solid answers, though. It's like the world's longest game of hide-and-seek, with no winner.
As Amelia is approaching Howland Island, she tries on the radio to reach the Itasca. She calls and she says, "We must be on you, but cannot see you, flying at 1,000 feet, low on gas." She says, "I'm hearing your Morse code signals, but we can't get you on voice. We can't hear your voice." And then about 30 minutes later, we hear her final message. She says, "We're on the line, 157-337, flying north and south." We never hear from her again.
Cult mystery. In 1969, a 20-year-old named Rosalind Baling disappeared in South Africa's creepy Knysna forest. She was a university student, but also the high priestess of a hippie group called the Cosmic Butterfly. Yes, that was their name. Some thought she wandered into the forest to spiritually ascend, while others believed she sacrificed herself for the cult. No one ever found any trace of her. The forest is dense, quiet, and downright eerie, which didn't make the search any easier. Her vanishing still baffles everyone. Honestly, this whole thing could be straight out of a 70s mystery movie. Man from Torid. A man walks off a plane in 1954, claiming to be from a place called Torid. Okay, fine. Maybe it's just a mix-up, right? Except Torid didn't exist at all. He had a passport, legit stamps, even money from his country, but no one had heard of it. He insisted it was between France and Spain, pointed to Andorra, and got confused when they didn't recognize Torid. After being detained in a hotel overnight, he vanished by morning. No sign, no exit, not even a trace. Either the guy was a ghost, a time traveler, or just a pro at disappearing. Casey's visions. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, was a famous American psychic born in 1877. He became widely known for delivering detailed readings while in a trance-like state, often while asleep. His readings covered a vast range of topics, from health to past lives, and even predictions about future events. Cayce's ability to diagnose medical conditions and offer healing advice made him a respected figure. He also made prophecies about places like Atlantis and the future of humanity. His work on spiritual growth, mind-body connection, and healing continues to influence many, even today. Hopi prophecies. The Hopi prophecy is a series of ancient predictions passed down through generations of the Hopi Native American tribe. These prophecies speak of future challenges, including environmental destruction, war, and spiritual decline, but they also bring hope, suggesting that humanity can find renewal and peace if we reconnect with nature and spirituality. The most famous part of the prophecy talks about a time of purification when the earth will be healed. Many have turned to these prophecies during times of crisis, wondering how closely they align with today's world. Immortal Nephites. The three Nephites are figures from the Book of Mormon, a sacred text of the LDS Church. According to the story, these three individuals were chosen by Jesus Christ to remain on earth, granted immortality to continue spreading the gospel. They were promised they would never experience death and would live until Christ's return. Over the years, many believe these Nephites are still alive today, performing miracles and aiding those in need, though their true identities remain a mystery. Phone Man. When Graham Bell invented the phone, he had missed calls from this guy. In a 1940s street photo from British Columbia, everyone's dressed in heavy coats and fedoras, except for one man. He's casually leaning against a wall, but that's not what made people gasp. His hand is pressed to his ear, as if he's on a mobile phone. But in the 1940s, there were no mobile phones. None. So who was he talking to, and how? Some say it's just a coincidence, but others are convinced he was a time traveler caught in the act. Endless Walker. They say he was cursed to walk the earth forever, never to rest, never to age. Known only as the Wandering Jew, his story began with a single act during a sacred moment. Since then, time refuses to let him go. He walks endlessly, with no home, no end, and no peace. No one knows where he's going, only that his journey never stops. A man forgotten by time itself. Lighthouse. Vanish. In December 1900, the Flannan Isles Lighthouse off Scotland's coast became the scene of an eerie disappearance. 3 keepers, James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur, vanished without a trace. When the supply ship arrived, the lighthouse was silent, the door locked, and the lamps unlit. Their belongings were left behind, and the last log entry hinted at rough weather. Did a monstrous wave pull them into the sea, or was something more sinister at play? Some say it was an accident, but the true fate of the men remains a mystery that remains unsolved. Poes' final days. In 1849, Edgar Allan Poe was found stumbling through Baltimore, wearing someone else's clothes and repeating one word, Reynolds. No one knew what it meant. He was weak, confused, and barely able to speak. Within days, he was gone. He never explained what happened, and no one else could either. There were no injuries, no clear cause, and no closure. Just strange gaps in time and a name with no clear link to his life. Poe's final chapter reads more like one of his stories, full of eerie silence and questions that still go unanswered. Forgotten identity. In 2004, a man was found unconscious behind a Burger King in Georgia. He had no ID, no name, and no memory of who he was. Hospitals listed him as Benjamin Kyle, but that wasn't his real name. He didn't even know it. No fingerprints matched. No family came forward. For 27 years, it was like he had never existed. Some believed it was just amnesia. Others thought there was something strange going on, like he had slipped through the cracks of time itself. Whatever happened, his lost past became one of the weirdest identity mysteries in recent history. Dark knowledge. Pope Sylvester II was more than just a religious leader. Behind the robes and titles, people believed he was messing with forces way beyond the church. He built machines no one understood, studied ancient texts most feared, and was rumored to have made a deal with the devil himself. Some say he spoke with spirits and dabbled in dark rituals in secret. Even his death was surrounded by eerie stories. They say the tomb shook when he was about to pass. Whether he was a genius or something else entirely, his name still sends chills through old knock on doors asking to be let in. Others believed it was just a trick or edited photo. Still, the picture floats around like a digital ghost, never explained, never forgotten.